All right, let's try this again. So it looks like Time Warner is. I dropped 2,000 frames in the first 8 seconds of the stream. Go figure. So let's see. Is YouTube working now? YouTube working now? Gonna wait till I see video before we get into the topic of today's video. Uh, this is this is what you get when you give Time Warner $400 a month. It's painful. It's so painful. Come on. You can do it. Here we go. All right, we are live. So today we're going to be going over some interesting information that I found out from the oddest of sources, actually, Vice. They did some good journalism, and I will give credit where credit is due to Jason Quobler. My apologies if I mispronounced your name. God knows it's annoying and people constantly mispronounce my name. This is some genuinely just good old investigative journalism, like real journalism, not blogging. And it came from Vice of all places. So I'm going to go through this article today, and I'd also like to go through a document, a 58-page document released by Apple about their practices when it comes to the environment and climate change and the forests and sustainability, because there's just a lot of good material in there to dive into and laugh at. So let's get to the pickings. Let's go over to the document on screen over here. So the topic of today's video is that in many cases, Apple is forcing their recyclers to throw away everything, meaning that it's not that like that. If something is recycled, if I give the recycler a MacBook where everything works, a $3,500 computer, it just needs the backlight fuse, that MacBook will not be fixed, it will not be sold, it will not be auctioned, it will not be given away. It will be shredded for its core resources instead of just replacing the backlight fuse or instead of giving it to somebody who'd like to do that. And Jason did a really good job of bringing all this stuff up in this excellent article. So let's go over some of this stuff. So Apple's new moonshot plan is to make iPhones and computers entirely out of recycled materials by putting pressure on the recycling industry to innovate. But documents obtained by Motherboard using Freedom of Information requests show that Apple's current practices prevent recyclers from doing the most environmentally friendly thing they could do: salvage phones and computers from the scrap heap. And this is a great point that Jason made. Making new devices out of entirely recycled materials, that's a great goal. But you know what's a better goal? Fixing the ones that you're recycling to begin with. So when you recycle one of these items, it varies depending on your process, and it varies based on the device that you're talking about. But you're getting back like max 20% of that device. When you take the device, disassemble it, and put it through a shredder, a good 80% of that is just gone. Like, just kiss it goodbye. You will never see it again. You're not going to use that in manufacturing a new one. So maybe let's say somewhere between 0 and 20% of that iPhone 6 can be used to make an iPhone 7. However, if you take an iPhone 6 that just needs a charge port, which I have shown in older videos in this channel, I'll link it below, that Apple will not do. If you have a bad charge port and you just replace the charge port on that iPhone 6, you have now used 99% of that phone in the recycling and refurbishing process, which in my opinion is a lot more green than putting it into a shredder. Let's go over some more of this article here, because there's a lot of good stuff to dive into. Jason really put a lot of good points here. So Apple rejects current industry best practices by forcing the recyclers it works with to shred iPhones and MacBooks so that they cannot be repaired or reused. Instead, they are turned into tiny shards of, oh, whoops, wrong camera here. Fail. Apple rejects current industry best practices by forcing the recyclers it works with to shred iPhones and MacBooks so they cannot be repaired or reused. Instead, they are turned into tiny shards of metal and glass. This is the part of me that just kind of wants to cry when I hear that. And don't get me wrong, like, I understand not wanting to pay a recycler to take your stuff so that they can then turn around and sell that stuff and then make more money on you. But is there a possibility of coming to any type of alternative arrangement? Maybe maybe allow them to give the devices away. Maybe only allow them to give the devices away to repair centers that are willing to submit themselves to some type of test or license or certification. Or maybe if they want to sell the product, split some of the profit with Apple. I don't know what it is. I'm sure that somebody out there can come up with any better arrangement than Apple saying no, shred everything and then give it back to us. I mean, that's just a complete waste. And again, as I said, you're not when we think of recycling, I feel like a lot of us in our heads automatically assume that all of what it is that we put in the recycling bin is going to be reused. It's not. In this case, again, if you can get 20% of that phone back, that is like that is a theoretical ideal. Let's go over some of the rest of this article. Materials are manually and mechanically disassembled and shredded into commodity-sized fractions of metals, plastics, and glass. John Yeater, Apple's recycling program manager, wrote under a heading called Take Back Program Report in 2013 to Michigan Department of Environmental Quality, all hard drives are shredded in confetti-sized pieces. The pieces are then sorted into commodities-grade materials. After sorting, the materials are sold and used for production stock and new products. No reuse. No parts harvesting, no resale, no soup for you. Seriously, I can hear the soup Nazi in the back of my head, like just the concise way in which that was phrased. No reuse, no harvesting, no resale, and no repair. It's just incredibly wasteful. I really can hear the soup Nazi from Seinfeld in the back of my head as I read through this. And it really does get sadder as you read through the rest of the article. So let's just scroll down here. And Jason did a really, really good job here of actually getting a lot of these documents from the Freedom of Information report. It's good stuff. And you could see, again, we're not making this stuff up. This is quoted in Apple's 2013 recycling report to the state of Michigan. So a very good job to Jason getting all this stuff. Let's go through the rest of the article. Let's see here. So a lot of this is done because a lot of these brands, what they do is, the way the legislation works is that these companies are forced to find some way to take back these devices so that they don't just wind up directly in landfills. Now the thing is that as stated here, Apple cannot actually recycle all of these. Again, if you look at the rate of phones that are sold to the rate of devices that they can take back in, that's about a rate of about 1%. So Apple can take back about 1% the total volume of what they create in a year. And since we are on these upgrade cycles where every 2 to 3 years the device is either obsolete or considered too old to be repaired or not economically viable, we get into this state where Apple needs to subcontract this work out to other recyclers and tying their hands by telling them that they cannot resell any of this stuff, they cannot use it, they cannot do anything with it other than shred it, is incredibly, incredibly limiting. And the depressing part, the part where I can just hear the violins in the back of my head is going to come later over here. Let's go to this thing over here. Where are we with the... Yeah, there's one part of this article that made me damn near want to cry. It says, to be clear, Apple's practices are often against the wishes of the recycling companies themselves who don't like to shred products that are still valuable. In a weird twist of fate, I visited ECS Refining before I knew that it did recycling for Apple. While I was there, I watched workers crowbar and crack open recent MacBook Pro Retinas, worth hundreds of dollars even when they're completely broken, thousands of dollars if I fix them and put them in the window, to be scrapped for their base materials. I just want you to think about this. I want you to think about the machine that I fixed 2 days ago that had that issue that Apple's no longer fixing because they're not interested in helping with this. So let's go over the video issues for the 2012 Retinas. So this thing, I posted a video 2 days ago showing you how to fix this problem with the 2012 Retinas. It's detailed, soup to nuts, beginning to end, exactly what to do. So that machine over here, this machine can easily be sold for $1,000, depending on the configuration, if it's in good condition. Easily get $1,000 for it. And that machine would be shredded. They would take it apart. They were going to pry this thing apart with a crowbar. And I mean, I can't imagine sitting there and watching this. I would probably break down in tears and just start crying, just like looking at all the lost potential, all the lost money, all the people, the poor students, the broke artists that could use this stuff. That is just getting shredded to dust. Let's go back because there are some other people that made some interesting points in this article. Let's see. I asked ECS CEO, that's the recycling company, Jim Taggart, how he felt about must-shred agreements when he sees products that could have data safely deleted before being turned into parts or repaired. He called such deals an extreme position, one his company doesn't like signing, but is a core requirement for some manufacturers. This is a direct quote from the CEO of the recycling company, and this is cool because this person is not afraid to get in trouble for saying what he thinks if it's what he believes in, and I like seeing more of this. All the manufacturers talk about sustainability, but when it comes down to it, their security and their brand is way more important than how the material is recycled or what you get to recycle that material. He said, we try to encourage them to let us save what's worth saving, and in the case where we're not required to destroy material, and we always wipe the drives prior to reselling it. And this again, like I'm glad that he's willing to happily speak out against this because this is incredibly wasteful. And I would honestly expect somebody who's working on behalf of Apple to say, Apple is a green company. Apple respects the earth and its policies. Apple is for helping keep climate change from occurring and blah, blah, blah. No, he says what he thinks. And so just shouts out to Mr. Taggart for doing that. And let's go over some of the other good points in this document. Yeah, what else do we have here? I scrolled too far past. Let's see. The owner at iFixit made some interesting points. Here we go. Kyle Wiens, the CEO of iFixit, notes that recycling should be a last option because unrecyclable, rare earth metals are completely lost and melted down commodities are less valuable and of generally of a lower quality than freshly mined ones. Repair and reuse are much better ways to extend the value of originally mined materials. And this is an excellent point. As I said earlier, percentages vary. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a miner. I'm not a professional, mineral recycler. But as I said, good luck getting back even 20% of what went into making that device once you shred it. And even if you are able to get back a good portion of that device, again, all the repair work that I do, all the stuff that you may think is difficult and incredibly hard and require expensive equipment, this is nothing. This is like tying your shoes in contrast to the process that's required to shred something, extract its individual raw earth metals and minerals, and then separate them, and then use those to create a new product. That I can't show you how to do with a $200 soldering iron. I can tell you that much. I will take reflowing U8900. I will take replacing bad caps in the RTC circuit. I will take any of these repairs over, or troubleshooting the one-wire circuit any day over this level of work. So what they're doing, not only is it less efficient than good repair, it's also incredibly, incredibly difficult. Just absolutely beyond imaginable difficult to do. Like a lot of the stuff that I do, even though, yes, I am using a $600 rework station and you can buy a $300 quick and probably do the same shit. Yes, I'm using a $250 soldering iron. You could probably buy a $100 one and do the same thing. Yes, I'm using a microscope. You could probably buy some $50 used one and do the same thing. Yes, you do got to spend a little bit for this. But this, at the very least, you can kind of set up in your living room. You cannot you cannot do recycling and separation of individual earth metals and materials and minerals and no, that's happening in very specialized environments. Okay, what else do we have here? Here we go. I keep losing my place. All right, but in practice, the premature recycling of an iPhone or a MacBook is not ideal. MacBook hard drives can be removed and replaced, and the recyclers Apple uses all advertise industry-standard data destruction tools that can be used to safeguard consumer data without requiring the destruction of all of the rest of the computer or the phone's parts. John Bumstead still sells computers from 2009 and 2010 for hundreds of dollars to people looking for entry-level laptops. Quote, Apple talks about responsibly recycling their own products, and they may in fact do a good job with that when they get their devices back, but Apple only receives back a small percentage of what they sell. And again, this goes back to the figures that that were found up here. So let's just go back to that little, where did they mention that little robot? Here we go. Again, Liam, he can disassemble 2.4 million phones, but again, they sold 215.3 million. And we're not even talking about the laptops and everything else that it is they sell. And And let me just talk here a little bit about data. For data, again, if they were only shredding the drive, I would say it's a waste, especially since they decide to use that special little proprietary SSD. That's the special Snowflake SSD that's different from what everybody else uses. I would even get if they wanted to shred the drive, just because they don't trust people to deal with the data properly. But why are you shredding the entire machine? Apple only started soldering the SSD to the board over the past year and a half. All the machines that were made for the past 5, 6, 10, 20 years did not have the data storage soldered directly to the motherboard. You can, if you wanted to go down the very silly path of shredding everything, you could do that with the data and leave the perfectly fine, beautiful working computer that only needs a $30 drive installed. It's painful. And also, I know there's going to be people that argue data security. There are two arguments that always get me. There's the, but what about the children? And but what about the data security? Because anytime somebody brings up how something is wasteful or useless or inefficient, there's always somebody that's going to yell, but what about the children? To get you to do something that is irresponsible or illogical. And then when it comes to electronics, it's, but what about the data? We had that with Error 53, where everybody thought that like Error 53 was invented to keep hackers from getting into your phone, which was insane. Because again, as we talked about in earlier videos, Error 53 would only occur if you updated the phone. So if you changed your home button, and if changing the home button could actually cause somebody to hack your phone, which it can't, but even if it could, let's say you don't update your phone for 8 months, that's an 8-month window whereby somebody could hack your phone. Error 53 isn't for that. Same thing here. Firstly, the moment somebody is going to dump something in the trash, their expectation of privacy is gone. If I throw away a laptop or I dump it at a recycling center, I'm not saying that they should upload all my pictures to Facebook. But what I'm saying is that it is my responsibility to erase everything on that if I want it to be truly wiped. And this is not hard to do. There are many programs that will do this for free. If you are software illiterate, you can just take the drive out of the computer, bash it a bunch of times, and frankly, for most intents and purposes, most people are not going to be able to recover that. You can get a system rescue CD flash drive for free. And you can buy the flash drive for a few bucks. You can download the software for free. You could dd if equals dev/urandom of equals my drive. Do that 15 times over. Easy to do in your own home. And if you toss something in the street that winds up in a recycler, you don't have the wherewithal to remove your data. That's on you. We should not be shredding 50 tons of stuff that's potentially repairable, and let's just maybe 25, somewhere between 25 and 50 tons. Let's look at the document here. Yeah, here we go. Look at this. Actual pounds collected between January 1st and 31st. Computers, 70,000 pounds. 70,000 pounds. Yes, I did see the video where somebody made an iPhone from used parts in Japan, for the person who asked. We'll talk about that in a later live stream. But here it says computers, let's say even like 10% of that is Apple stuff. And let's say even 10% of that 10% is fixable. That's a lot of stuff that's being shredded just because of the data. There's really no reason to shred the entire machine if the only problem is a hard drive cable on the A1278s or a bad SSD in the case of the 2011 and 12 MacBook Airs that use those bad Toshiba drives. I mean, these machines you don't have to shred the entire thing. That's just incredibly, incredibly silly, and in my opinion, incredibly, incredibly wasteful. Thirdly, when it comes to phones and data, because I know I'm going to see this in the comment stream, don't give me any of that shit where this is for data security on a phone. You saw how much trouble the FBI had to go through to get data off of an iPhone 5 or 5C. I mean, the phones that Apple's been making over the past 3 to 4 or 5 years, you're not getting data off of those phones without the password unless you're either that genius Cambridge researcher or the FBI or the NSA. Average recycling person, average person that picks that phone out of the garbage, if they don't have the passcode, they ain't getting your data. Even if you forgot to I gotta get dinner. I'm forgetting things left and right. Even if you forgot to erase it. And I'm going like full smooth brain tonight. Full smooth brain. All right. Now the real fun is going to come with their environmental report. So let's go over their environmental report. This is a 58-page circle jerk on how Apple cares about the environment. And look, It starts off with trees. Look at all the pretty trees, and maybe we have like a little river over there or something like that. You know, and we're just gonna scroll through this because there's a lot of fun stuff in this. So I guess the part that I'd like to go over first is wait, I don't even know where to start with this. Wow, let's see. What? Okay, how about this? For aluminum, we found one of the best sources of recycled material was our own products and processes. This is because we specify such a high grade of the material. It's part of what makes our products so strong and durable. Today, the only way to keep aluminum at this level of quality is to keep a clean material stream, not to mix it with existing scrap aluminum, which is what typically happens at recycling facilities. Again, don't let those recycling facilities do anything. Let us. Our challenge is to recover the aluminum from our products without degrading its quality. This is what I really like, where they go, for aluminum, we found that one of the best sources of recycled material was our own products and processes. This is because we specify such a high grade of the material. So every single one of you with any one of you who's watching this that's got an iPhone 6 or a 6 Plus with those bars that go down the top of the screen, and you got an iPhone 6 or 6 Plus that were denied screen repair at the Apple Store because it has a tiny little bend in it that could easily be bent out as easy as it was bent in. How do you feel about that? Let's see what the internet has to say. All right, so let's go to the Google. I trust the Google. The Google wouldn't lie to me, right? iPhone 6 bend. All right. The highest grade aluminum. The highest grade aluminum. Highest grade. Highest grade. Yeah. Such a high grade of materials. Okay, that's just Photoshop, but look what the Yeah. 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 All right, let's how about this? How about this? So you know what happens when that happens? White bars. This. Let's see. This over here is from the dead touch IC, which occurs because of your crappily put together phone, in my opinion. Look at this. And that didn't bother a lot of people now, did it? I'm pretty sure nobody really cared about the touch IC thing. I'm sure nobody cared about that, right? Pretty sure. Pretty sure that only affected oh, never mind. Oh yeah, it actually affected enough people that that there were several class actions. Oh yeah, and it's actually, and there's tons of coverage on a bunch of major Apple News websites. Oh yeah. So that wasn't like one of those things where it's like it affects a small percentage of users. No, high grade of aluminum. No, don't give me this shit. All right, so let's go. What else do we have in there? It's a feature, says Zam. Oh yeah, a feature. So there's some more funny stuff in this document that's worth going over. So we're going to continue scrolling, and then I may get out of here because I'm feeling a little hungry tonight. So what else was it that was in this? Was it the Here we go. Closing the loop in our supply chain. Our goal is a closed-loop supply chain. Traditional supply chains are linear. Materials are mined, manufactured as products, and often end up in landfills after use. Then the process starts over, and more materials are extracted from the earth for new products. We believe our goal should be a closed-loop supply chain, where products are built using only renewable resources or recycled material. We already have programs in place to ensure the finite materials we use in our products are sourced responsibly through strict standards and programs on the ground that drive positive change. We're also challenging ourselves to one day end our reliance on mining altogether. To start, we're encouraging more customers to recycle their old devices through Apple Renew, and we're piloting innovative new recycling techniques, like our line of disassembly robots, so we can put reclaimed materials to better use in new products. It's an ambitious goal that will require many years of collaboration across multiple Apple teams, our suppliers, and specialty recyclers, but our work is already underway. So in this little graphic over here, we have raw materials, processing, manufacturing, customer use. And then typically that winds up as e-waste. But Apple, they don't want to mine for materials and they don't want to create e-waste. So it's going to go processing, manufacturing, customer use, and then it'll be reused and recycled. So this nice little closed loop supply chain that's never going to create any e-waste, never going to create, it's totally perfect. And I just thought that I would correct that for them so that it looks a little bit closer to what actually goes on. So hopefully you'll give me a second to just draw something up here in paint. I don't have great handwriting. I'm not particularly good when it comes to aesthetics or drawing or art. So hopefully you'll forgive me. I'm going to try to put something together here that fits. So this is the real, in my opinion, the real supply chain. So you have processing, manufacturing, Apple makes money, customer use. After customer use, and I got it listed here, C7771 will cause random shutoffs in your 2008 or 2009 unibody. C9560 will cause random kernel panics on your 2010 Pro every time you use NVIDIA graphics. The AMD graphics chip will die in your 15-inch 2011 machine. U8900 will come desoldered, causing black screen on your Retina 2012. Your Mac Pro trash can will have rampant GPU failures, as in the 2013 model. And the Touch IC will cause dead touchscreen failures on your iPhone 6 in 2014. And the list goes on and on and on. And it's going to go to reuse and recycling. There's going to be a fork in the road over here. But here's what they don't tell you. 80% of your old phone or your old MacBook goes into the trash. This here is unusable trash, especially if you have one of those dead GPUs from 2013. Because God, I swear, the only company that could design a machine where the entire case is a heatsink and a fan. Like the entire case. It looks like a HEPA filter. This looks like a Honeywell 5250 right here. And it dies. But anyway, 80% of your old stuff goes right in the trash. And then 20% of it goes here, where they get to collect your money. And then you get it. And then it dies, because every single year there's a new hardware failure in these products. And then it goes on and on and on. Now, you may be saying, Lewis, what is the solution? You're just sitting here bitching, whining, and complaining. But what would you like to do to fix this? So I'm going to paint here what I think the closed loop should be. So this would be my idea of a closed loop for a little bit more efficiency. So let's just put this up here. And here we go. This is my supply chain. Raw materials, processing, manufacturing, customer use. It dies. I fix it. They use it, it dies again, because let's face it, it's an Apple product. I fix it, it dies again, because it's an Apple product. It continues like this. This is the real reuse and recycling chain, because here we are not recycling 5% or 6% or 2% or 1%. We're recycling usually over 90% of the product. In addition, we're also saving the customer a lot of money. All right, let's continue over here. There's quite a lot of good stuff in this document. Okay. Hey, where'd my browser window go? Come back. I got to get dedicated keys for Open Broadcaster, because I use function keys right now. So let's say I'm in Chrome and I hit F1 to switch back to the camcorder. It opens the help document in Chrome because F1 opens help. Or if I hit, let's say, like F4, F5, or F3 in my PDF reader to switch between the camera angles, it'll go to the next time that it found whatever's in my Control F. So I got to get a separate set of keys, because it's kind of driving me nuts. Anyway, back on topic here. So what else do we have here? What was I thinking of? All right, so over here, this is just standard sucking up to people that... This is just standard sucking up to the environmentalist and climate change lobby. We're just going to scroll down a little bit, and this is porn for the environmental lobby over here. Look at all the trees. Look at all the trees. An aerial view of eucalyptus forests in the Guangxi something province in China. In partnership with WWF, we have transitioned approximately 320,000 acres of forest in China into sustainable management. All right, so yeah, they show you this, right? So they like this is Apple. This is Apple. It's just nice water, a nice clean stream, and trees. But you know what happens when you sell people products, and then you try to stop all the repair shops from fixing those products, and you don't fix those products yourself, and the average person doesn't know how to recycle it. You know what really happens? You know what the reality of all of this is? It's gonna be something like this. It's gonna be something like this. This is your reality. This is your reality. This is what happens in other countries. Um, again, like you see this in the document. Again, Apple's going to show you that in their 58-page report. But like if you travel, like they never show you any of that. Like let's just go like e-waste landfill. I mean, they're all over the world. There's tons of these places. Like look at the scrap here. Look at this shit. And don't get me wrong, I'm not gonna say that Apple is the only person contributing to this because that would be silly of me. Many companies contribute to this. However, I'm focusing on Apple because they are the ones with the 58-page PDF showing the forest and the trees and the nice clean stream when they go above and beyond to stop people from fixing their products. And if they want to do that, that's fine. But just keep cut the shit out. Stop with the trees. Anyway, all right. This is. Let's see what else in this document struck me as funny. Let's see. Thank God for Control F because I don't remember any of the pages. Here we go. A product durability. A durable device is a greener device. When products can be used longer, fewer resources need to be extracted from the earth to make new ones. So we assess all of our products in our reliability testing lab using rigorous testing methods that simulate our customers' real-world experiences with their devices. For example, we analyze how devices stand up to extreme heat and cold, exposure to water, and everyday chemicals. I'm sorry. I gotta wait till I get to the end of the paragraph to start laughing. For example, we analyze how devices stand up to extreme heat and cold, exposure to water and everyday chemicals, and scratching tests for materials like steel, wool, and denim. In addition to industry standard measures, we also devise our own tests and even build custom testing machinery. We design these tests based on our studies of user behavior and by analyzing returned products to fully understand any problems. In the event that something does break, we have programs like AppleCare and Apple certified repair services to help our customers use their devices longer. We also release regular free software updates that keep our products current and extend their lives as long as possible. And we design these software updates to be compatible with older generations of products. Mac OS Sierra, for example, is compatible with Mac models dating back to late 2009. And when customers decide to upgrade to new devices, the old ones often have new lives with friends or family, or in the refurbished market through programs like Apple Renew. What world do you live in? Okay, I almost missed the best part here. This is to ensure that they can stand up to repeated use. The keys on MacBook are pressed millions of times. They press the key millions of times, and they drop water in it to see if it will die. 0. What? We test to see how the device stands up to everyday chemicals, exposure to water. Are you kidding? No, absolutely not. No. So this over here is a ThinkPad T520. This has a liquid-proofed keyboard. If you spill liquid in the keyboard, it will not make its way to the motherboard. It will come out a drainage hole on the bottom of the keyboard, on the bottom of the laptop. And when that comes out, you may have a couple of keys that don't work, but your laptop is fine. The liquid does not make its way to the motherboard. This is a brand that, even though they've included spyware and done screwed up shit in the past, at the very least cares a little bit about hardware durability on products that cost a decent amount of money. And when I bought that ThinkPad in 2011, it was $750, about down to $700 in free shipping with a coupon code. I mean, to the people who watch this channel regularly, do I really need to go into how these these machines are built with no protection from liquid? No protection from liquid. Don't stare me in the face with this document with your trees and we care about the forest and we care about durability and climate change and all that. Again, you could say all that stuff, but then when you say we analyze how devices stand up to extreme heat and cold and exposure to water, I'm sorry. You're full. In my opinion, you're full of shit. That no. There's a reason that this channel has over 900 videos on liquid damage, on repairing these products, and a good portion of those being liquid damage repair. Because if you get a drop of water in that keyboard and it manages to just navigate its way down, you're screwed. It's not turning on, something's dead. Again, I'm not making up all these boards that I put onto the camera here. That's not me photoshopping. That's not some elaborate scam. I don't have like some video editor working in that room back there with the hole in the door. People have always asked me, Lewis, why is there a hole in the door? There's not like a guy in there that operates Premiere and Photoshop and After Effects that's like, get me out, where he makes all these fake pictures of corrosion on motherboards. That's all real. That is all real. And it's one thing if this would be a difficult thing to engineer. I'm not asking them to make a flying car. I'm not asking for I'm not asking for intelligent drones. I'm not asking for them to come up with an algorithm that can tell what it is I'm not asking them to come up with anything that's crazy. I'm asking them to do what Lenovo did 10 years ago. If Lenovo could do it on their products damn near 10 years ago, then why is it that at twice the price you can't do it on your products today? And if you're not willing to do it on your products today, again, more power to you, because the longer that Apple decides not to have liquid resistance as a core feature of their products, the longer it'll be until I retire. And in some ways, I kind of enjoy doing these videos and walking you through the little investigative detective work of fixing liquid damage. But if you're not going to make it liquid proof, then for the love of God, don't write this. Just don't. No, you don't analyze how it stands up to exposure to water. Either that, or you do analyze how it stands up to to exposure to water, see that it fails instantly, and then just laugh while you count your money. Because let's face it, technically, I could be a little incorrect here, because it doesn't say that they fixed how it deals with exposure to water. It doesn't say that we've compared and contrasted it to every other brand that's added liquid resistance to their products. They could just poured a little bit of water on it and go, yeah, okay, yeah, it seems like it dies instantly. Yeah, I've analyzed it. Yeah, it dies. Yeah, it dies. But when you say a durable device is a greener device, and then you imply that you're making your devices to be, no, cut the shit, no. The Apple devices may be designed to be easy to use. They may be designed to have a great initial user experience. They may be designed to not crash. They may be designed to be thin. They may be designed to be good looking. They may be designed to allow you to get work done in an efficient manner. By all means, I will happily admit to all of that. However, no. Don't claim just don't claim hardware durability. This could become a 3-hour live stream if we were to go over every single failure. One of my personal favorite parts of this document, above all else, this is probably the best part of the document. Setting high standards for the safety of our products and the people who help make them. We also work to protect the health and safety of the people who work in our supply chain. The standards we set for our suppliers go far beyond what's required by law, like our regulated substances specification list, which identifies the toxic chemicals we limit or prohibit in our manufacturing processes and products. We lead audits that inventory chemical purchasing and map chemicals across our supply chain. During these audits, we also review our suppliers' hazard assessments, industrial hygiene monitoring, risk controls, hazard communication, worker training, medical surveillance records, and chemical spill prevention plans. To date, we've conducted over 40 hazard assessments for all the chemicals in the cleaners and degreasers used in our final assembly sites. We've removed benzene and hexane, toluene, and chlorinated organic compounds from all of our final assembly sites, and we continue to work with our suppliers to help them better manage chemicals used in the manufacturing processes. And for suppliers with higher than average risks of occupational health exposure, we work with them even more closely to assess and improve chemical management practices. In addition to mapping chemical use annually across all final assembly sites, our team of experts works with suppliers to assess their manufacturing process and identify substitutions or opportunities for re-engineering whenever possible. We've already assessed 81 manufacturing sites, including all 18 of our final assembly sites and 63 subcomponent supplier sites, together employing approximately 860,000 workers. 800, and we plan to assess 50 more sites in 2017. Let's see, what else do we have here? All of our suppliers have to adhere to our regulators. Setting high standards for the safety of our products and the people who help make them. All right, so they go over the toxins over here. And you know what's interesting in this is that they said setting high standards for the safety of the products and the people who help make them. And they spent a lot of time in this product going over the safety of the products, but they spent no, and the reason I read the entire paragraph, and one of the things that you may notice, is that they spent no time talking about and the people who help make them. Because even Apple, even the company that has the balls to tell you that they analyze how their laptops work when you spill something on them. Even when they say we analyze how it reacts to liquid or water exposure, they have the balls to say that. But even Apple does not have the balls to say that they care about the people that make these products. And frankly, rightfully so. So let's just go over to, let's see, what do we have here? So, I wonder if there's any known cases of worker exploitation when it comes to making iPhones and MacBooks. You are not allowed to commit suicide. Workers in Chinese iPad factories forced to sign pledges, from the Daily Mail. Factories making sought-after Apple iPads and iPhones in China are forcing staff to sign pledges not to commit suicide. An investigation has revealed at least 14 workers at Foxconn factories in China have killed themselves in the last 16 months as a result of horrendous working conditions. Many more are believed to have either survived attempts or been stopped before trying at the Apple suppliers' plants in, I'm not even going to try to say that, or Shenzhen. Appalling conditions. An investigation by 2 NGOs has found new workers at Foxconn factories in China are made to sign a no-suicide plan. A no-suicide. I'm sorry, I shouldn't be laughing. I'm laughing at how ridiculous it is, but I feel disgusting about the people who are victims of this. This is sad. After a spate of suicides last year, managers of the factories ordered new staff to sign pledges that they would not attempt to kill themselves, according to researchers. And if you kill yourself, if you break the pledge, and you jump out of the window before we install the nets that bounce you back in, you will not get time off to attend your funeral. Just keep in mind that if you kill yourself at this plant and you break your pledge, unlike Acer, you will not get time off to attend your funeral. I mean, like what the And they were made to promise that if they did, their families would only seek the legal minimum in damages. An investigation of the 500,000 workers by the Center of Research on Multinational Companies and Students and Scholars Against Corporate Misbehavior, SACOM, found appalling conditions in the factories. They claim that excessive overtime is rife, despite a legal limit of 36 hours a month. One payslip showed a worker did 98 hours of overtime in 1 month, the Observer reported. During peak periods of demand for the iPad, workers were made to take only one day off in 13. Badly performing workers were humiliated in front of colleagues. I guess that part is not exactly unique to Apple or manufacturing in China, but I digress. Workers are banned from talking and are made to stand up for their 12-hour shifts. Netting has been put up outside worker dormitory buildings in, I'm not pronouncing that, in Shenzhen after a spate of suicides last year. Nets. So like it's after you do your 13-hour day, you do your 13 or 14-hour day, 12 days in a row for barely any money. You're like, I give up. Screw this. I'm done. You get bounced back in where you have to work on yet another fucking iPad. Oh my God. You know what we should do? I mean, I think it would be kind of funny if for just one day, every United States repair shop put out a net. Like we should have like a national repair day where every single repair shop in the United States puts a net outside, and just to get the message across. Like this is how much we care. This is how much we care. And continuing, the anti-suicide pledge was brought in after sociologists wrote an open letter to the media calling for an end to restrictive working practices. But the investigation revealed many of the workers still lived in dismal conditions, with some only going home to see family once a year. One worker told the newspaper, "Sometimes my roommates cry when they arrive in the dormitory after a long day." She said they were made to work illegally long hours for a basic daily wage, as little as €5.20. I'm about to say cents, but that's not right. Public school in America. You get the point. And that workers were housed in dormitories of up to 24 people a room. in place I'm not going to pronounce, working between 60 and 80 hours overtime a month was normal, with many breaching Apple's own code of conduct with the length of their shifts. And the investigation found that employees claimed they were not allowed to speak to each other. Oh my God. Oh, I'm kind of tired. Do you think we should ask for time off together? Don't you talk! Can you imagine that? There's this episode of Dilbert. I don't know if anybody watches Dilbert. I think it was in season 1, episode 5 or 7, where he goes to Elbonia, where they're producing this, I think like the Gruntmaster 6000. And they start talking to one another. Can you just imagine that? It's like, do you think we can get like a break for lunch? It's like, shut up, you lazy bum! That was an excellent episode of Dilbert, and I really think, I feel like that episode of Dilbert is like a mirror image of working for Apple. You really should watch that episode of Dilbert. Let's see, it's probably on YouTube. I just want to find this for, let's see, do we have it on YouTube here? Dilbert goes to Elbonian trip. Oh man, this was funny stuff. This was funny stuff. I very rarely suggest going to Daily Motion, but this was an excellent episode. You can see the tour of the factory. Yeah, let's make it so you can hear something. Death. I like this. This is what I have in my head.
That's it?
And the salary of 5 grobniks a month.
That's less than a penny.
I beg your pardon. It's much less than a penny. Our motto is that work is its own reward. Yeah! Man. The factory. As you can see, incentive programs motivate our workers to put forth their best efforts.
Why don't they get off the bicycles and walk around to get the pork chop?
Shut up! That's crazy talk. Don't listen to her.
Okay, you can go watch that on your own. I'm not going to waste the entire stream on that. But man, it's like, first thing that comes to mind here. First thing that comes to mind. All right, what else do we have here? And the investigation found that employees claimed they were not allowed to speak to one another. Foxconn admits that it breaks overtime laws, but it claims all the overtime is voluntary. Some officials within the company even accused workers of committing suicide to secure large compensation payments for their families. Anti-suicide nets were put up around the dormitory buildings on the advice of psychologists. Foxconn said it had faced some very challenging months for everyone associated with the Foxconn family and the loss of a number of colleagues to tragic suicides. Yeah, it seems like the quality of the psychologists they have are about the same quality of the psychologists that are telling 7-year-olds that they have ADD because they find the teacher boring and then refer them to a psychiatrist to pump them full of drugs. Interesting to see that China and us have one thing in common. Must have. High demand for iPods and iPads in the West has fueled the tough working conditions for part suppliers in China. Spokesperson Louis Wu, responding to allegations that staff were humiliated, said, "It is not something we endorse or encourage. However, I would not exclude that this might happen given the diverse and large population of our workforce, but we are working to change it." Again, we put up nets. And, where was I? There we go. Let's see. He added that employees were encouraged not to engage in conversations that may distract them from the attention needed to ensure accuracy and their own safety. SATCOM said the company initially responded to the spate of suicides by bringing in monks to exorcise evils. I'm sorry, I'm just making sure that I didn't just like read a pop-up ad. No, this is still the original article. SATCOM said the company initially responded to the spate of suicides by bringing in monks to exorcise evil spirits. Wow. I really thought that maybe I clicked a pop-up ad or something and it showed up and I was reading that and not the article. But yes, monks. That will fix our problem. Monks and nets. Monks and nets. Monks with nets. That'll be our saying. Leontine no, I'm not going to get that name right. A SATCOM official told the people they work excessive overtime for a salary they can hardly live on and are inhumanely treated. Conditions are harsh and they don't have a social life. Their life is just working in a factory, and that's it. Demand for iPads and iPhones has soared, resulting in tough targets for workers in Apple factories. Apple's supplier code of conduct demands that employees are treated with respect and dignity. But its own audit reports suggest suppliers in China may not meet up to these standards. The global high-tech product manufacturer made profits of $6 billion in the first quarter of 2011. And getting to the end of the article, getting to the ends of this thing, let's see. All right. Our work is led by Lisa Jackson, Apple's Vice President of Environmental Policy, Social Initiatives, reporting directly to CEO Tim Cook. The Office of Environment Policy and Social Initiative works with teams across Apple to set strategy, engage stakeholders, and communicate progress. Our integrated approach means that decisions about Apple values, including environment, are reviewed and supported at the highest levels of the company. So before I get into this, I just want to clarify one very large misconception that appears to stick around, particularly anytime one of my videos gets a lot of views. So a lot of people assume that I hate all Apple users. I think every Apple product should not exist, and that the happiest thing for me would be if Apple went out of business. And that could not be further from the truth. I believe that you should use whatever makes you the most productive, and I think that you should use whatever makes you the most happy. You should not care what I or anybody else on the internet thinks. If you want to use a Razor, use a Razor. You want to use a ThinkPad, use a ThinkPad. You want to build your own PC, build your own PC. Whatever makes you happy, by all means, do it. I'm not trying to change you, and I completely acknowledge that there are many things that Apple products do well that other products just frankly suck at. I'm not trying to get you to blindly hate the company, but what I do want is to see some type of positive change. We have a lot of people that love Apple products for what they are, that think that they are that the best and most productive way to live out their day, walk in our door every single day. These are our customers, and these are who we service. And these are the people that we become sympathetic to when we see the same thing over and over and over and over again. The same graphics chip dying year after year. The same buck converter circuit failing year after year. The same Touch IC dying year after year. It's the same thing over and over again. And I don't want to convince you that everything that they do sucks, because Apple does a lot of things right. It's like they really do get a lot of things right in terms of the user experience, the retail experience, just the fact that that whole just works thing. Again, I don't buy into it. It's not for me, but it's for a lot of other people, and I respect that. But and they're this close to being done. They are this close to having something that is near perfection for those people. I don't want blind Apple hate. What I want to see is people wake up and start holding the companies that they like accountable for what it is they're doing. If you like these products, you should want them to be more repairable. You should want them to not get shredded you should want them to not get completely shredded into pieces so that only 10 or 20% of them are recyclable. And you should want them to make products that last longer. You should want them to try and imitate or copy whatever it is Lenovo did to make their machines more liquid resistant so that your $3,500 investment doesn't become a paperweight because you had a careless intern. I want to see them become better. It's not about tearing down. It's about getting rid of this bullshit so that we can progress to a point where these products overall are better. So if you think that it is silly that they're talking about durability while being 10 to 13 years behind the competition on something as basic as a liquid-resistant keyboard, if you think it is silly that they talk about forests and streams and trees and climate change while telling their recycling companies, you may not give these machines away, you may not sell these, you may not fix them, you may not give them to people who will fix them for people who would love to use them but can't afford a new one, you must shred them, then what I would suggest you do is talk to this person. And again, be polite. Do as I would say, do as I say, not as I do. You can open a polite and kind discussion with this person. It appears that they have a public profile. I would say again, you don't have to curse, you don't have to be mean, you don't have to be condescending. Just say, I read this document, and then it appears that you are forcing your recyclers to shred everything that everything that enters these recycling plants. I disagree with that. Here's why. I like your products. I want to continue supporting your company, but this troubles me. Put it in your own words, because we're not going to create change unless we do something. And at the end of the day, I agree with a lot of the people that say it really starts with us. If this bothers you, if you want to see a more green world, if you are an environmentalist, if you care about sustainability, if you care about having a clean earth, but then you buy from a company that is forcing recyclers to shred their products, there's a disconnect there. And I'm not asking you to hate their products. I'm not asking you to stop using their products. All I'm asking you to do is to acknowledge this disconnect. And after you acknowledge this disconnect, say something. Do something about it so that maybe we can get to a point where we have some positive change. Because right now, again, this is just getting silly, and it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. The solid-state drive is soldered to the motherboard now. The home button is tied to the phone completely. There's no replacing it, even if Touch ID goes away. They have gone above and beyond in terms of just making sure they have a completely closed supply chain that nobody else can buy from. Their service diagnostics now directly connect to the server. You can't download it from any websites anymore. There's a lot of effort put into ensuring that people like me cannot help people like you get a working product. And that sucks. So I'm going to read a little bit of what goes in chat, and I may do a second stream for repairs and then get out of here after that. So let's see what we have here. Let's read I want to kind of keep this under an hour, which means 5 minutes to read comments, which, ain't happening. Yeah, there's way too much here to read this in 5 minutes. So I'm going to go over to the next board repair. And we'll see you in the next video.